Okay, Laura, your name is McClellan, right?
McClellan, yes.
McClellan. Okay,
yeah.
Right.
But Laura is fine.
Laura.
It's funny. My husband was born with the name, but he has a hard time pronouncing it. So whenever he introduces himself, he just says he's Mike. So.
All right. Well, I already like his name because it's the same as mine. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And he loves Poland, by the way. He got to visit there many, many years ago, and really fell in love with the country. So.
Oh, that's great! Wow. Okay, please send him my best regards. I mean,
I will.
I'm really happy about it. Whenever somebody visited Poland, I'm already happy. Or if they even like learn to speak like just one word, it's already like yay.
Yeah.
Especially that our language is so difficult. So
it is. It's beautiful, but it's difficult. So.
Oh yeah. It really is. All right. So Laura, let's get this rolling. Thanks for coming on for the Proactive Magazine. For the Productive Magazine, we have a productive woman on the other side. Actually, the author of the Proactive Woman podcast and much more, Laura. Just talking about you, I could just write a whole novel about your life. So maybe can you just give us a brief, summary of what happened and then how you finished up here with a fantastic podcast about productivity for women?
Well, sure. I was born in Washington State, so I live in the United States, of course, and grew up and married my husband. We married very, very young. We were 18 years old when we got married and started our family when we were 20. And I've done everything a little bit backwards because married young, then went to college later and went to law school and had a lot of adventures on the way, but the short version of the story is now I'm a lawyer by day and mom to 5 adult kids. We have 7 grandchildren, and I, in my spare time, I host a podcast called The Productive Woman. So that's pretty much it.
Well, it's amazing. Anyway, and for me, when I read your bio, which we'll link to this in the below the interview, I was just for me, one word that would stick with the perseverance. Like you would just persevere in everything that you did, and you finished it, and you like for me, it's just as you said, you did a bit backwards, married early and everything, but you persevered, and then you went back to college, you graduated, you went to law school, you became a partner. Just stunning perseverance. Really, wow.
Well, thank you. I have to confess that I sort of attribute my success to the extent I've had it to having chosen wisely who I married, because my husband is very supportive and he has really encouraged me to pursue the things that I do, and I couldn't have done it without him. I really couldn't.
Okay, so let's stay with your husband still. In the very beginning of this interview. So you were married for 37 years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
How do and you said your husband was very supportive. How do you make this happen? How do you manage to stick around for so long, together? Because I've been married for 11 years, and I really think it's a big accomplishment. But 37 years, it's amazing.
Yeah. It is. I guess, in a way, it's a little bit sad that it is such an accomplishment. Being married's hard. We as human beings, most of us honestly are a little bit on the selfish side, and marriage requires constant compromise and thinking of the other person. And I think I'm not going to lie, it's been tough at times. I don't want to pretend that we've had some ideal marriage for 37 years. We've been married a long time, and we've been through ups and downs just like everybody else does. But for us anyway, we made a commitment when we took those vows, and ending it was never an option for us. It was never a serious option. I will admit there have been moments when we thought, I don't even like you very much, much less love you. But, we just made a decision that we were going to work through the hard times and support each other and stick with it. So it's not easy, but for us, it's been worth it. It really has.
Yeah, and and you said, it's strange now that that this is right now an accomplishment. This should be this should be the default, but it's not. And especially at my age, I've already been through the a wave of marriages and then the wave of divorces, in my in my circles of friends, and this is depressing kind of because really this is not how it's supposed to be, right?
Well, I don't think so. I certainly understand, and I don't judge people who, make a decision to divorce because, like I said, I get it. Marriage is hard, and I think if we want to get a little philosophical, I think part of the issue is that the media, Hollywood, movies, and all of that portray relationships in a way that I think isn't very helpful, and that it's all about how you feel in the moment. And if you don't feel this overwhelming love and passion, then there must be something wrong, and you should move on to somebody else. And I'm not judging anybody who makes that decision, but what I've learned in 37 years of being married is that love isn't a feeling, it's a choice. And we made the choice to stick through it when the feeling, maybe wasn't there. So,
yeah, I think very often it's now getting back to the productivity and everything. Very often, people don't realize that again that it's not like that feelings guide us. Sometimes they don't understand that very often it's a choice. Just as you said, love is a choice, and lots of things that we do are it's a choice. And there was a very bad movie with Will Smith, but there was a very good quote there that danger is real, but fear is a choice. So, and I really like that distinction, because we take some things for they're not a choice. And you chose actually to help women, be productive, get things done. And I'll later say why I'm, very, why it's very close to my heart. But let's see, why is it close to your heart? Why did you choose, Proactive Women? What happened there? I mean, how did you come up with this idea? And, and again, your perseverance, you stick to it. You're about to have 100th episode of your podcast. So, how it all happened?
Well, I've always kind of had this heart to help women, maybe because I am a woman, and whether it's the podcast or some of the other things I've done, it's never been because I think I've figured out all the answers and I'm going to, help tell them how to solve their problems. It's that I see, I have conversations with people and I see, people struggling, and whatever we're going to do in life, we have to make choices about how we're going to do it and with whom and for whom. And I can't help everybody. And so for me, it was kind of an easy choice to try to serve the community of women because I think I understand them better. I understand the struggles they go through, and their, what they have to contribute. And it made sense to me, especially when I launched the podcast. It was really about, anybody who does a podcast, you've got to define who your audience is. Who are you trying to reach? Right. And so for me, it was just, I have men who listen and I get feedback from them. And thank you. Glad to hear that. And it's not like what I'm saying is not applicable to men, but when I am recording, when I'm planning episodes, I'm thinking about, the woman who is trying to juggle work and family and personal interests or whatever. And I just feel like I understand her better than maybe I understand men. And so that because of the life I've lived, I feel like I have a little more to offer to the woman who's listening.
Yeah, especially that, coming back to your bio, I mean, you've juggled all these things, like, being a stay-at-home mom, then homeschooling, then like everything, and then going to college and then career and everything. So, I mean, I think, you have some experience in that. So, totally. Yeah. For me, the subject is close to my heart because I'm about to have a third baby, and she's going to be a girl again. So I'm going to have three girls, and hopefully three power women to be. And I have a wife who's a power woman, so like I'm around women all the time, and and for me, I'm like as a business person, I'm very right now, knowing that I'm going to raise three women. I'm more also focused on the business side of things, on how women are perceived in business, on their on if they are not if they are equal as men, treated as equally, or and all these things. So for me, these things are really close to my heart, as raising three women here.
Yeah, I totally get it. My son-in-law would agree with you. Our oldest daughter is married, and they have four little girls, and so he's in your shoes, raising four girls to hopefully be strong, confident women who can go out and really make a difference in the world.
Yeah. So in your experience, working with women and especially in the productivity space, teaching them productivity and learning from them, do you see that, at least I see in my, relationship, like my wife, for example, is by definition more organized than me. I know I built Nozbe because I had to get organized, right? But I have women using it, so that's good. But so do you see that, men work differently than women in kinds of, how they get organized, look at things?
I think that the principles of productivity apply across the board. It seems to me, my observation is that women tend to experience some of it a little differently than men do. First of all, men are seen, and I hate generalizing because there are always exceptions, but in general, men seem to be more able to focus in on one thing and exclude everything else. And women, we tend to always be thinking all over the place. We're thinking about home and when we're at work and vice versa. I also think that, again, my observation and conversations I've had, that women tend to feel more guilty than men do about how they're doing it. Women tend to often feel like whatever it is they're working on, they're doing it wrong. And men seem to be more able to, they'll do the research, decide on approach, and be okay with that, and not question whether it's the right one. It's whether it's efficient and whether it's working for them. And so a lot of what I talk about on The Productive Woman is encouraging women that, if it's working for you, it's good, it's okay. And you shouldn't feel, go compare yourself to how somebody else is doing things. Find what works for you and go with it. So like I said, the principles apply without regard to gender, but the experience, I think, is a little different.
Yeah, it's you're totally right, and especially that women are generally more emotional than men. I can see that also in my relationship with my wife. That, for example, I can get focused very quickly, and just on one thing, and she's like thinking about 3-4 things, and then just juggling them in her mind. Yeah, so yeah. That's true. You're right. So talking about juggling, so you're still juggling so many things, as your side project is the podcast and, all these things together. But do you still have, with the family and all these things, do you still have time to be a lawyer? Do you still, work as a lawyer?
I do. I have a full-time law practice. I'm a lawyer at a very large firm. It's an international firm. I think we have offices in Warsaw, as a matter of fact. Wow. But I'm in our Dallas office, and I practice law. I'm there, 5 days a week, and sometimes working from home. So it's a challenge.
Yeah, especially lawyers. I think lawyers work a lot, right? My wife is a lawyer, so I know, yes, basically, when people ask me how I started Nozbe, and I said, I was working from home until 4 p.m. and then up from 4 p.m. I was working on Nozbe because my wife wouldn't come home before 9. So I had time.
It's a challenge. It's true for a lot of people in various professions, but lawyers, our clients need us when they need us, and that's not necessarily between 9 and 5. And so we work sometimes long days and long weeks and into the weekend sometimes.
And do you manage to, just out of curiosity, do you manage to like apply some of the productivity principles you learn and teach through Productive Women into the law firm? I mean, did you manage to convince some of your colleagues or partners to just start getting things done, or like some kind of new processes in the company to just improve things? I mean, have you had that kind of conversations?
Not firm wide, and the firm I'm at now, I've only been there for a little over a year. So my influence is, I'm still learning kind of where things are. In the prior firm, I did do presentations a couple of times when the new batch of lawyers would come in the fall. They have an orientation a couple of days, and there were a couple of times that they had me come and talk to them about, best practices for being productive and managing the things we have to do at the office. And so I've done a little bit of that, and then just interacting one-on-one with lawyers, and when they see that what I'm doing or how I'm able to get things done, it gives me an opportunity to share what I know and make suggestions for how they can, if they come and ask me, I've got plenty of things to say.
Exactly. Yeah. So asking you about your things. I mean, we all know that good routines help us achieve a lot. I mean, can you give us some kind of behind the scenes view of which routines work for you? I mean, which routines really help you put things in order and get things done?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I am sort of routine oriented. I'm a big fan of when there are things that you have to do repeatedly, doing them the same way every time so they become a habit. And so I have, my morning routine that involves, I get up, and as I'm getting ready for the day, looking at my calendar, thinking about what's on tap for the day, and making a decision about what I'm going to start with first. Actually, that starts the night before. But I'm starting with my morning routine, and spending a little bit of quiet time reading, even if it's just 10 or 15 minutes of reading something that's sort of inspirational, and while I have my breakfast, and then off to the office. And I always know before I walk in the door what I'm going to do first. And as I mentioned, that for me starts the day before. And so part of my routine, and probably the most important part of my work routine for sure, is before I leave the office, I know I've looked at my task list, I've looked at my calendar, and I have made a tentative decision about what I'm going to be working on when I come in first thing in the morning. Without doing that, there's a lot of drift that happens in the morning. If you haven't made a decision before you get there about what you're going to start with, then you lose 15, 20, 30 minutes kind of wandering around deciding, well, what should I do first? So, those sorts of things, if you want to call them routines or habits, help me get the stuff done. I try not to work past 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, but in order to be able to do that, I have to really be methodical and organized about how I use my time during the day. So, that's part of it. I have a routine in the evening at home of turning off the TV, at least half an hour before I want to go to bed, and, spending some time winding down, but to help me sleep better. But
yeah, I mean, I can't, highlight this enough. I mean, the morning routine, and especially, as you said, the evening before, or like I said, the last minutes of your work. Like for me, the evening before, like setting my 3 most important tasks for the next day. It's crucial. It's key. I really sleep well, after that.
Yeah.
And then I have this clarity or something, And then in the morning when I wake up, it took me really if not years, months to really create a morning routine. And I couldn't find it. I was trying different things, but in the end I nailed it. And I've been with it, very consistent over the last lots of months. And the win is amazing. I mean, when you can start a day great, it makes all the difference.
Yeah, it really does. And everybody has to figure out for themselves what that is. For some people, it's a morning workout. I've had a guest who she gets up, she's a very busy businesswoman, but she gets up at 4:30 in the morning and goes out and meets with another group of women to do a boot camp kind of thing outside. And she says that's just key for her, getting her blood pumping, getting ready and getting her day off to a good start. So everyone has to figure that out for themselves, but having those routines in place that start your day right, end your day well, it kind of bookends the day and makes for a better day and a more productive day.
Yeah, and it's really easy to give up. I mean, try several things, and you just after a few days you just slack off, you give up. So I encourage everyone listening here, especially to Laura, don't give up. I mean, because it's really if you figure this out, it just pays in dividends. So it's
and really it doesn't have to take a lot of time either. We're not talking about some people, especially those who work from home and kind of work for themselves. They may have this hour, 2 hour routine of things that they do in the morning. For those of us who have to get out of the house and go to an office, or if we have children that we have to get up and take care of, it may be 15 minutes, but having those 15 minutes that you give some thought to how you're going to live your day and kind of get yourself centered and ready to go can make all the difference.
Yeah, I mean, today is actually the day when my children no longer go to school because it's vacation, it's summertime. So, but so now I can actually I'm going to change my routine because of that. But as you said, I mean, I had 20-minute routine, when I was, because I was taking them to school. So I really didn't have that much time, but it was enough. Just starting, being 20 minutes earlier and just doing, my thing. I wasn't stressed anymore when I was taking them to school, and it's a good thing that my children wouldn't see a stressed father. So
I agree.
Additional benefit right there.
Yeah.
Okay, Laura. Anything else that really works for you, or anything that any piece of advice that you always give that people should change or should add to their I don't know. Life to be more productive or to get more done or to achieve better results and have your kind of achievement?
Well, I mean, again, it's going to be different for everybody. As far as routines, there are two things I think that I would say are really important for making a productive life. One of them is this is a routine, and that is the weekly review. And this is something that I do. For me, I do it every Sunday afternoon, and it's where I go through my task manager and I look at every project and I say, is still something I want to work on? Are there any tasks I need to add to it? Anything, just to get the big picture look at how am I doing? And so that's part of it, looking at the task manager, making sure I know what's up, what's on deck, looking at my calendar for the coming week and thinking, okay, what days do I have appointments? What days am I going to be in the office all day? What days do I have evening commitments? And what do I need to do to prepare for that? To me, that's been a key to having a productive week, just taking that. And for me, I don't spend more than about an hour on a Sunday afternoon doing this, but it gives me that big picture look at my week and to know and make sure that I'm ready for it, and so that I can go into Monday or ready to go and feeling like I'm on top of things and not having to worry about what I'm missing or forgetting. So that's the other thing. And you asked if there's something I would suggest to people. Anytime anybody asks me something like, what's your number one piece of advice for someone to have a productive life? I have the same answer every time, and that's write everything down. Have some system where you capture everything. And whether it's, you're a techie nerd like me and you're going to use a digital tool like Nozbe to capture all the projects or ideas and things that you want to do, or whether you're an analog person and you just carry a notebook around or 3x5 cards or whatever. But Our minds are meant for creative thinking, not for storing stuff.
Yeah.
And if you can get in the habit of writing things down, whether it's appointments or ideas or projects or commitments, whatever, write those things down as soon as they come to you and into a system that you trust and you check regularly. It's going to free up your mind to do the creative or productive work that you need to do, because you're never going to have that, lost energy of your mind trying to make sure you remember that you're supposed to pick up the dry cleaning on your way home or something. So that's my number one.
Yeah, I think, you're so right here. The moment I got this habit that I write everything down, I trust myself. And whenever I cheat on that and I'm like, oh, I'm going to remember that, I just hear it just going away. In this moment, it just goes away, like in this very moment, because my mind is no longer used to storing information, after years of training. So whenever I try to cheat the system, it just works against me. So
yeah, absolutely.
But on the other hand, thanks to that, I really know where things are, and whenever they are not there, well, I'm kind of screwed. But but most of the things are there, and it's been very helpful. And as you said, it's hard to highlight this enough. Just writing things down, because we're really bad in storage of information.
Yeah. And especially these days in the 21st century, there is so much coming at us all the time. It's simply impossible for the normal human being to remember everything they need to remember, whether it's phone numbers or websites or appointments or, a project you agreed to be part of and the things that you need to do to complete that project. There's just too much. And there's nothing that will add more to your peace of mind and therefore your ability to be creative and a problem solver and productive, to make a life worth living. Nothing will help more than developing that habit. That's where it starts. It buys you the time and the energy and the mental capacity to do everything else that you need and want to do.
So basically what Laura is telling you, write things down and review them regularly. Write them down and review them regularly, and then you're fine.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is, where do I, sign? I'm just totally here. So this is, I think this is the best end of this interview. Just, everyone else, you can find everything, all the show notes, everything in the Proactive Magazine, and learn more about Laura at theproactivewoman.com, and it's going to be linked also in this episode. Fantastic. Laura, thank you so much. I really congratulate you on everything that you do. Fantastic. And I hope you'll have a fantastic celebration of your 100th episode of the podcast. So really, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been a privilege to talk with you, and I love what you guys do. I said this before you started recording, but I'm a huge fan of Nosby, and it's such a great tool. So thank you for what you do to help us all be more productive.
Thank you, Laura.